different Lyme Awareness Month. I've for years been doing trainings where we share the nuts and bolts of how to learn about Lyme, what Lyme is, tick bites, tick bite prevention, what if you get bitten by a tick, and then if you have Lyme or co-infections, even mold and other things layered into that, how do you heal from that? From a nuts and bolts sort of physical perspective and more of a medicine and herbal perspective. So this year we're doing something a lot different. I wanted to really get together with a bunch of my friends who really truly know how to heal. And the work that we're all doing and sharing with you is literally the types of work that I use to heal myself. And also Arturo is going to share his story and tell you all about his healing journey. So this is really deeply personal to us, and it's also a way that supercharges healing. Through my healing journey with Lyme and babesiosis, I found that probably 70 to 80% of my healing was done by me and as a result of actions that I took at home on my own, most of which cost nothing, except I had to invest in myself and put that time in. So that's what I wanted to really share. If you're interested in some more of the nuts and bolts, feel free to go over to our YouTube channel. It's just youtube.com/origins of health. You can check out the last year's Lyme Awareness Month playlist. We've got all those trainings for you. But this year, I wanted to share with you really the keys to healing. And that's really why we put this all together. And so this is one of those things where I'm just so excited to have Arturo here tonight. And before we dive into letting him introduce himself and talking about this unlocking the healing codes of the nervous system, I just wanted to send a special shout out to all the members of the Samara Method program that are here. This is a program where I distill like the exact approaches that I used to heal myself from chronic Lyme and babesiosis, and what I do in my life each and every day to live to my to the optimal level. And I think that that's what's really so cool about the process that we're all working on, is that it's not just about healing. It's a way to actually live to your fullest. And to me, healing is about living, right? And so many times the healing really comes from expressing ourselves and our true passions. And so that's why I am super excited to introduce Arturo Gaitan, Unlocking the Nervous System's Healing Code. And without more talking, Arturo, welcome. And, we were just joking off camera about what a great title that I put together just based on our friendship and our experiences together. So why don't you share a little bit about all of this? And again, thanks for being here.
Well, Tom, thank you so much. I really appreciate the invitation. I'm so happy to be here with all of you. I know that I can see you all, but you can see me, I guess. I think that's what I want to think, right? That's what I want to believe. So, well, I think that we're gonna hopefully to have a lot of fun today and understand other things. But yes, the title really struck me because that's how actually, when I was a kid, I started. Um, I I started very early in my life. I was 7 years old when one of the teachers or the principal from the school told my mom that I was. Can I use the word retarded here? Yeah. Oh, I just
So,
use it. I'm
no
so sorry. Well,
problemo.
they told her, in the 70s, there were no politically correct or incorrect. They just told her that. So she sent me to the doctor. They tested me. They thought that I was a normal kid. I just had different perspectives. But the difference was that I understood since little a little bit more how humans how we function and how the universe function. I kind of was into quantum physics since little, and I didn't know that much because I never was the kid that liked books. So I love to just channel everything, which makes me to be a little different. And I don't have a lot of friends. I'm so happy to Tom is one of my friends because I remember when I was a kid, all of my friends they didn't want to listen to when I was seeing energy or different perspectives, and they said like, I will get back for you, just wait here, and they never came back. So but anyways, during that time, and one of the major things that happened to me is I really wanted to be different. I wanted to be a different kid. I happened to have a mother that was a little bit of abusive, just a little bit. I'm being sarcastic. She used to beat the crap out of me every day, like literally every day for around 15 years of my life. And finally, at 15, I asked her why, and she said, "Oh, it's because you look like your father." I'm like, "Oh, great." So, but anyways, after some time, we created a better relationship. But the first years of my life was very difficult. So it was around probably like around 8 years old when I have the first download about like the nerve system, how it works. And the reason why is because my grandmother, which was a doctor, literally showed me a syringe, and she said, "Okay, I'm gonna inject you something because we really need to bring your nerve system into balance." And I'm like, "What that does that mean?" you know so I'm just getting an injection, and she used to inject me because apparently during that time I was a very anxious kid. I was getting sick all the time because when you're anxious, when you're not in your self-control, your nerve system start getting is weak and weak, and what happens, your immune system start going down. So you start getting all kinds of viruses. I was the king of viruses in my throat. I have many other things, and I was always a sick kid. I was always ill. I remember my mother used to put a benzetacil was the name of the antibiotic of 1,200,000 units, and she was putting it on me like every month and a half or every 2 months. And of course, when you get older, you notice that your immune system is completely destroyed, if that makes sense. So, anyways, to make this story short, I start having this in my mind. I start traveling into my inner side, to my inside, and I have this epiphany. I will call it epiphany. One day, I was doing some type of meditation, some type of just very deep inner thinking, and I start having this images of my brain and how it is there inside of my brain and the nerve system. That's when I created my first reprogramming to start reprogramming what was happening to me. Uh, Other than illnesses, the normal kid that doesn't develop correctly, uh, wet hands all the time, scared of everything, uh, easy to get bullied until you find out that you're not that easy to get bullied. But I think that the biggest thing that I discovered during that time is how to, which I didn't know, to be honest. I didn't know. Now I know. I didn't know that I start working on my nerve system. That's what I was doing, and I did it through many different things. In a matter of fact, at the age of 13, and I'm not sharing this with the purpose of uh, making myself feel that, oh, poor guy or something like that. But at the age of 13, I really want to quit. I don't know. A lot of people, after having a difficult life and everything not being very great, a lot of us we start thinking that I needed to quit. And actually, I tried. I was 13 when I tried to quit, and I took a lot of pills because I'm from Mexico City, so we watch a lot of movies from United States, and in the movies a lot they show you a lot like you take pills you can die or something. So I took
Yeah, so
pills.
you're really talking about like quitting completely. Like it was
Oh,
that bad.
completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so bad that I really decided like I'm not here anymore. I need to leave, and I did. And after probably 30, 40 minutes, I feel great. I start feeling great. I start feeling like I don't want to go. So I start like trying to push it out. Not everything came out. I took like 90 pills. And so I'm sitting right there, and finally I look at the bottle, and the bottle says vitamins. So that's when I noticed like, oh, I think that I'm not going. So of course, I pee yellowish, orangish for a few days. But I guess that made me realize how appreciative of life I shouldn't be. And that's when I started my journey. And I don't know, help me here. What else should I
Well, I
share?
think it's so interesting because when I hear that story, I hear someone who's, distraught. Life feels like shit. Like everything's weighing you down. and you went to kind of take action to get it over with, but you're being looked out after. That wasn't a coincidence, right? And that's why I'm so honored that we're here, is because to me, so much of our experience on the planet is how we frame it, right? And that's why I love where we're kind of going with this, is these healing codes and unlocking your nervous system, is getting stuck in that kind of mode of thinking can certainly be one of the things, that's one way that a lot of people learn to do it. But I feel like with you, whenever I hear you talk and we hang out, it's like I feel inspired, because this is a guy who was in the trenches and really, tried to end it all. But there was a higher power or a higher purpose, or whatever you want to call it, whatever words resonate with you. It wasn't coincidental that you took a bunch of vitamins when you really meant to take something else, and you watch crappy United States movies to show you how to get it done. So I guess one of the questions I have, because I mean, to me, one of the things I just really like to highlight for folks is whether we experience chronic illness early in life or later in life, a lot of times we feel alone. And then you were kind of alone because of other things in your life, because, family trauma and your experience. But the way that you feel like that you describe the way you feel doesn't feel much different than just being, gaslit by the medical community, being left alone, and not having, like, feeling that you had a future. Yet you're in this situation where you were given a second chance, for lack of a better phrase on my part. But what changed then? I mean, aside from the fact that you were still alive, what what spurred you to move on? Because I mean, to me, this month is about inspiring people to heal,
Yeah.
not, so like what happens when your body does feel like, say, what gets you to that point, even that you start investing on the internal journey rather than the external journey for other pills or a psychiatrist, or like something of that nature?
Well, it took me a while to understand, but I think that that day something magical happened to me. And don't take me wrong. When I was 7 years old, I decided that I wanted to make a difference in this world. I was seven. Before that, I always said that I want to make a difference. I used to tell my mother when I was little that I want to save the world, until I noticed how the world was. Like, okay, this requires more work than just me, right? But but at 13, when that happened, something magical happened, because I finally was able to appreciate um, life, and I start what I think that people call downloads. Start downloading ideas and different things. I was downloading all my methods of healing, and all the methods that I know today that there are methods. I converted that into methods, like they're proven. I've been working for over 30 years with people about that. And that's the day that that happened. I start downloading all this information, start observing all the perspectives. And the reason why I wanted to quit during that time, and this is very important to mention, is because during that time I was feeling very bad about myself. I have a feeling in my heart that I never experienced before. And I finally discovered that feeling, and that feeling was hate. I I hated for the first time, and I was hating my mother. And I didn't want to have that feeling, because she kept living her life. She was smiling and dancing and doing everything about her life, but I was the miserable one. I was miserable. I was feeling that way, and I didn't want to feel like that my entire life. So I decided to quit. But after that, when that happened, remember that took me probably like 3 to 4 days downloading all this information. So at the age of 15, I decided to start putting this into AA. So I went to a AA center, and I get myself at the age of 15, and I was seeing people getting inside and saying like, "Hi, my name is Joe, and I'm a drunk," and things like that. I drink and all these things. So I said, "Hi, my name is Arturo. I'm 15 years old, and I don't drink, and I am here to share how to live a life without alcohol." And that's how my journey actually started at the age of 15. It was very interesting because a lot of people start listening to me and how you guys you start changing. So in my experience, at the age of 15, I understood even better all the metaphorical meanings of things. Like, for example, you're an expert in Lyme disease, and if you observe, and if I am correct, please correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know that much about it, but what I know is I think that is called a tick. Mostly when you get a tick and they go into your skin and they
Mm-hmm.
can release the virus, right? Am I correct?
It's a bacteria, but other than that, spot on. Yep.
Right. So and one of the things that I start sharing with some people that I came across in my life, that they've been through the disease or they've been through challenges. Some of them kind of late, it was very difficult. Some others, they took care faster. So I remember this client, she was sharing with me, and I said, have you ever thought that the metaphorical meaning of Lyme disease is a leech, the vibration of a leech? And she says, like, what do you mean? I said, you know, I don't know if you agree, but all of us, all humans, we are like magnets, and we attract and repel things in life. And I said, I think that a lot of us, we have the vibration of our bodies vibrates in the frequency of attracting people that will suck the life out of us. And she's like, okay, tell me more. So I start telling her that if she get to that point, it's just her soul. If she wants to believe she has a soul, an energy, we all are energy, independently of whatever belief system we have. The reality is that we are attracting, and probably that's a metaphorical meaning, that we are allowing a lot of people to actually abuse either our energy or our friendship or relationships. And then I start actually, start asking other clients that they got Lyme disease, and most of them, they agree that they've been dealing, attracting people to their lives that they will take advantage of them. I don't know if this applies to everybody, but it's a point at the energetic level.
Yeah, and I think it's so interesting because a lot of times when we stare at the truth, I share with people all the time. I would love for them to stand up in the mirror each and every day and say, Tom, I love you, looking yourself dead in the eye. And if there's something that doesn't feel right when you do that, like that's a signpost, a signal of where you can focus and do the work. It's not saying there's anything wrong with you. It's just a signal. And I feel like when I hear you talking, it's like it's truth. It may not be true for everyone, for the people where they feel that this message resonates. There's a level, right? I mean, some people it's like, yeah, that's everything, and other people it's a small part. And a lot of what I wanted to talk about was what are the things that we can do to empower ourselves with healing, and the natural, like, as an osteopathic physician, we were trained in this crazy frontier medicine that says your body has the ability to heal itself if you give it the tools it needs. And sometimes that's all these drugs or herbs or a diet. But a lot of times it's like I tell people, you're reminding me so much of this. It's not only the diet of what you put in your mouth, it's the diet of what you put in here, in here, in here, and most importantly, in here. And so it's really inspirational because I know I've talked to people about similar concepts, and people are like, well, I didn't ask for this. I didn't do that. And I go, you didn't ask for it. But it's a beautiful, mirror or signpost into where you can access healing. And one of the big kind of catchphrases that's in our community is like, nervous system regulation, cell danger response, and moving through the healing stages, and limbic retraining, and working on the vagus nerve. But I think the thing that we need, if we step, I'm a big picture person. I like to step back. And this is where I love your work, is that limbic retraining is like, we have to remember that that is a part of the nervous system, and the central nervous system primarily is an energetic system. Now it needs nutrients and minerals and chemicals and food, and oxygen and water. But the reality is all of those things are energetic. And to me, like if you look at Emoto's work and you write the label hate on here, and then I drop the water onto a really cold plate, it's got this really disorganized appearance. I'm not judging it as right or wrong. I'm just saying it's disorganized. And then if I write love and I wait like a couple of days or a week and I drop it, it's very organized. So we have this control over our energy system. And the challenge is when we are attracted. Quick aside, because I think I want to really make this point for people, because this is why I'm here this year doing it this way. Is one of the things, Arturo, that's so important. When I was younger, and I was just growing up, I went through some stuff, not the physical stuff. I went through a lot of emotional stuff, a little bit of physical stuff with my old man. One of the things that I found is that when I went outside, I was bit by ticks all the time. I was bitten by so many ticks. The only time I don't remember knowing that I got bitten by the tick was the one that infected me. But basically, I was just like, every time I went outside, I did all this work. So then I go through this like 8-year healing journey, right? And I go through this whole thing. And then afterwards, once I reconnected with my energy force and I changed my diet a little, but it was all driven by my self-healing mechanism. I didn't know anything about diet at the time. My body, I just listened to it, kind of like you were talking about. The thing that I noticed that was so cool was no more ticks were coming to me. And I believe wholeheartedly, and people can look, I've written about this, I've spoken about this on stages, it's on my YouTube channel. This is not brand new information. Once I changed my inner frequency and I up leveled it, and I didn't say, hey, my dad dangled me from a wall by my throat, and every other day of my life I was afraid I was going to die, even though he didn't put a hand on me. Well, other than the stabbing of the finger in the sternum that I just remembered about, But none of that mattered, because I said I was worthy enough to heal. I wanted to go to the next level. So all the shitty patterns that I shared and I expressed in my life from all the things around me, I just said, that's okay. I know where it came from, but it's negatively impacting me. I want to let it go. And I went on that journey. And that's really what I always hear. I just wanted to highlight that about your message. It's not, there's no blame here of anything. You're just saying the truth of, like, if you really want to get well, this is one area to look at. So if you're to look at, say, like the nervous system and the limbic system and whatever everybody calls it, and really more like unlocking the nervous system's healing code, what does that really mean to you, and how do you experience it? And then maybe we can share some of that with everybody here, because I think that's the superpower.
Yeah. So that gets us into energetics. Energetics pretty much is what I always said is the thermodynamics of the body. Our body is all about temperature. Our bodies are all about temperature, and all this is a mathematic. Healing is a mathematics. See, and mathematics has an order in a way. So, like numbers from 1 to 10, the number 1 is before the number 2, and number 2 is before the number 3. That's how it is. So, when we're talking about the nerve system is actually the result of the root cause of our life. And the root cause of our life, if we observe, comes from a subatomic level. That subatomic level is just handled by our brain and our heart, and that spread out through our body. That subatomic level is particles. Let's just call it particles. All these particles, from photons, electrons, neutrons, neutrinos, quarks, you name it, all of them. We are actually made of 12 of them. So all the matter is made of that. But anyways, all these particles are going to come through our body all the time. I don't have a way to prove that. It's probably like 2,500 to 3,500, I call thoughts per second, particles per second that comes through our bodies to modify the vibration of our body. Those are our energetics. So when it comes through our body, it comes through our brain, and the brain just have the capacity to focus in just one. But everything else goes through our body, modifying the temperature of our body. that temperature is going to come out and it's going to create our magnetic field. It means that we're going to be projecting if we're vibrating to a lower density or a faster density. And it's very simple in a way to think about it, right? Because is well, lower frequency means probably I always say that we have four main emotions in the humans. We have four main emotions, and the first one, as we know, is sadness. The second one is anger. The third one is fears, and the fourth one is happiness. Everything else, every other frustration, melancholy, all that comes from all of this. But these three are the first three are sadness, anger, fear. There are essential emotions, which means that they're connected to the nerve system. They're connected directly to our survival mechanism. And a lot of people don't think, but if you observe, happiness is not an essential. Happiness is really not an essential. Happiness, actually, if we pay attention, happiness is a consequence. Consequence of what? Sometimes I just do this, and people said like, "Oh, peace," because it's like peace in a way. And I said, yes, inner peace. If you are in inner peace, happiness is going to be the vibration. So when you are vibrating from the point of happiness, you're going to have more tendencies to be less ill. And I'm saying less because I'm not saying that you might never get ill. We live in a world that have a lot of pollution. We have stuff in our food. We have stuff in the drinks. We have stuff everywhere. We have stuff that we get from other humans, all the time. So, but it will keep you the less and less. It will keep you the healthiest possible. So the energetics, it goes back to that inner peace. And the truth is that when we are not in inner peace, and it's not just about getting relaxed, it's about to be conscious, to be literally conscious. Consciousness, people might think like, oh, yeah, I'm aware. Well, how you know? Logic can trick you and make you think like, oh, yes, I'm aware that I am vibrating low or that I'm vibrating high. The truth is we don't know because of subconscious mind holds that for us. So in reality is all those thousands of thought particles that we are receiving every second are modifying and they are feeding something that I call imprints. These imprints are going to be in charge of how your body is going to vibrate. And when that happens, if your body vibrates low, you will be attracting all those things that you don't want. As simple as that. You want it or not. Unfortunately, it's even so at subconscious or unconscious level that when you realize it's because you're already ill or because something that you don't like in life is happening to you. But that means also that your body is vibrating low and your body might experiencing cold. Now, you might think like, well, I didn't feel cold, but it means that your body is getting cooler and cooler when you are in any of those vibrations. So, anyways, it's all about your energetics, and the energetics is pretty much the how your body is functioning. And the question would be, can we fix this? How can we do it? What I find out, Tom, what I find out in my entire life, and this is why I love what I do, I figure out how to keep myself and a lot of my clients, a lot of people getting better every time, every day. I I focus in two things. I focus that when you want to move forward in life and be healthier, you need to focus in number one, healing, because healing will set you free from whatever is tying you down. It will set you free. That's what healing does. Healing could be an emotional healing. For some people, can be a spiritual healing. For others, could be physical healing. For some others, could be the three of them. There are different types. So, but healing, it will set you free. And then it's not enough. we need to reprogram. We need to reprogram, because guess what? If we heal but we don't reprogram, the same program is going to go back and bring us back to where we were. So then we're going to have to heal again. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it makes a tremendous amount of sense to me. About it's so many people in our community get better or partially better, and then they relapse, and then they get better and they relapse, and they're frustrated and tired, and it's like, and I've gone through this, it's like, why are we still doing, why is this still happening? And it's like, I think one of the things, we were together at a health leadership council retreat, and one of the things that we were both talking about, maybe using different language, was that this is imprinted in all aspects of our field. Like, it's not just the physical that you can see, or there's holographic fields, you can describe them in so many ways, but there is the healing that occurs, and then there's the reprogramming, so that you can, essentially, in my mind, it's kind of like healing on all levels, right? And it's making sure that we've done the house cleaning. So it's not like, it's always like, hey, you, like, somebody's coming over and you shove all the shit in your closet and you close the door and you lock it, and then and it's like, ooh, your house is so clean, and then you go open the thing and it all falls out later. So that's a lot of what we run into. And I think from a medical perspective, we see so many people doing amazing research, working with amazing medicines, getting breakthroughs, finding, doing research on essential oils and botanicals and homeopathics. Like, there's so many things to do, but each one of those things I just described is kind of like you're reaching outside for something else. And those are necessary for a lot of people. And also, we have this point where we can dive in, and also, what I find so interesting is, the deeper I go, the broader I go. And then some people, like in TM, go really broad to go in. But it's about working with the spiritual aspect of who you are, the vibrational frequency. And one of the things I think I've mentioned to you before, but one of our mentors says, as long as you treat everyone from the highest vibrational frequency of love, it doesn't matter what you do, it's going to work. And again, to your, like, and I love talking about healing versus cure. Like, cure to me is eradication of disease. Healing is to bring wholeness back to the individual and their community. And I've met a whole bunch of cured people who are a-holes and have miserable lives and make everyone around them miserable. And I've met a whole bunch of people who have healed, and they're more likely to be cured than the other person. But in the event that they're not physically, the disease isn't removed, the remaining life they have is so vibrant. They share light and they inspire people around them. And, like, people are bummed when, like, this happens so much in cancer. People's lives and communities are healed, become one, and we're on this together. So I mean, and to me, like, I love the word love because my mentors use it, it resonates with me. I don't know, people, some guy, like, measured the different words and their vibrational frequency, but the bottom line is, it doesn't matter what your highest vibrational frequency is, whether you're labeled happiness or love or whatever you call it. The bottom line is, there's a frequency way up here, and a lot of us are living a little lower than we could be. So when you look at all this, like, I love what you say, the four main emotions, and they're all necessary. And I think a lot of people are like, wow, there's a lot of other emotions. Wow, how do I move into that place of happiness, right? Because when it's your predominant vibration, like you said, you're going to heal. And so, two questions, and then maybe we can share an experience of this, because this is where, I mean, you just shine, and it's like, put your seatbelts on. This is going to be a lot of fun. But you said two things, like, healing will set you free, and then we need to reprogram. So, um, I don't know if it's better to talk a little more, or just maybe dive into sort of an experience of this, because I mean, for me, I'm an experienced guy, but I don't know if there's some other setup you want to do, or where you want to go with this.
Well, here's the thing. I I really appreciate that. I see myself. To be honest, I enclosed myself for a long time. I've been mentoring a lot of people my entire life, but I never went out. So this is actually the first time that I came out. I've been some of my students and people think that I've been working underground for a long time, But the reality is that I've been just focusing in my heart, and my purpose is how can I make a difference? How can I share how I discover to pass most of my days for the I don't even remember last time that I was depressed. I think that I was depressed at 13. After that I got it, and I don't remember that. I don't experience sadness a lot. I just allowed myself to experience sadness, to inspire myself, to inspire others, to know that life is more than what we see, that there is more. But going back to healing, one of the things that I lately been working with some people and a couple doctors that they're very interested in the way that I've been working is something that I call triangulation of imprints. And this is the part that I guess that I by nature I understood, but I don't think that a lot of people this in consideration. Let's pretend that for a moment somebody has a trauma, and but they don't know. And I love, that people look at psychology. Psychology is really good and everything, but I notice how some limits. Everything has a limit. I think that we all are limited in a way until we figure out how to break the limits, right? Rule breakers. But one of the things that I notice is a lot of my clients that came, and this occurred to me once, that people start asking me like, hey, who are your clients? Who's your market? What type of people you see? You see young people, old people, and all this. And I remember my answer to that. I said like, I work with the people that try everything and didn't nothing worked. I That's what I do. And so one of the things that I notice is I start observing something that I call triangulations of imprints. Let's pretend that you have a trauma that you didn't even know that you have it. I'm going to put an example of this lady. This lady, she was um, in her 40s, 296 pounds, around 4'10, 4'11. She was a little short, but she has a lot of weight. She barely can walk. She came to see me, and I have a vision of her. And I'm gonna say I have a vision because that's what I get. And a lot of people think that I'm a shaman. I don't know. I just natural. This comes naturally to me. I was able to have a vision of this lady, and I started talking to her, and I said like, "Hey, I'm sorry to tell you this, but I have this vision that I cannot just not say anything because I might be able to say something that might prevent you from this." And she said, "What is it?" I said, like, "I have a vision of you dying in a surgery table." And she was the first time that she was seeing me, and I didn't know anything about her. And she's like, "Oh my god!" I said, "Like, yeah, they're operating your stomach or something, and I'm seeing you dying in the surgery table." And she said, "Are you like a psychic or something?" I said, "No, I'm just having this vision." And she said, "Well, I'm gonna have a surgery." She was having a bypass, like a gastric bypass, and I think that that's the name, but gastric bypass. So, anyways, so she get scared of what I said, and I said, "Okay, we can try to do some extra work." So we started a healing journey for her, and this is what I find out. I did a regression on her, and this is what I found out. This is what I call the imprint. The imprint is like a channel that records an event that connects your entire life to that, and that will use those subatomic levels of energy to feed in your body, and with the time it will create some type of disease. So when she was 6 years old, what I discovered, when she was 6 years old, her mother just scolded her, right? No big deal. Every kid gets scolded, right? Now, the problem here is that we don't know when we are more sensitive. That's the problem. We don't know. We don't know how deep the impression, the imprint, and then we will create the association, we'll create the condition. So she scolded her, the mom scolded her, the aunt was there, the mom offered her a lollipop. So she created an association that the more that she does whatever she did, she's going to get rewarded, right? So during her life, she started overeating. She started getting a lot of sugar. She was, I think that is called insulin resistant, and she didn't know. She was creating pretty much her own sugar. You know, you're a doctor. You know more those terms than me. And so we started her healing work, and in a year, we she achieved between good diets and working out and healing work. Just from the healing work, she lost like 40 pounds just from healing work. Healing work, emotional, mental, spiritual, it can take a lot of weight out of you. So she lost, the last time that I saw her, which was over a year, she went down from 296 to 175, 178, something like that. And it was an amazing transformation. But the most important part was that later on, she when she let me know how her life was, it is because she tried different healings before, but she never did reprogramming. So we did the healing and we did the reprogramming. Reprogramming the mind is essential. Otherwise, you're gonna keep ending doing the same thing. So the triangulations of imprints works like this. Let's pretend that an imprint that she had ended up in her shoulder, okay? And then let's pretend that she has abandonment issues, and that is in her right side of her chest. And then there's another one that she's experiencing bad relationships, and that is in allocating in her left knee. So the triangulation, what happens is when you do healing and you don't notice that there is a triangulation, you do work and you remove that trauma, you remove that imprint. So the other two imprints that already created a connection with that imprint, it will recreate that imprint and will bring it back if there is no reprogramming. It will bring back that imprint, and it will come out anytime of during your life. It can take 40 years, 50 years, 20 years, 10 years. They always come back to teach us a lesson, whatever way we want to see it. That's what it is. So I call that triangulation of imprints, especially when you do some work and then suddenly you get back and the same thing is back. So that's when healing is not just a mental process, is energetic process too. It's energetic and it needs a reprogramming. If you reprogram, you will assure you of something that I've been, and I'll pass the mic to you because this is what helped me the most. When I was little, I was paying attention. I was thinking I was talking to God, Tom. I was thinking I was talking to God, or God was talking to me. And it explained to me, I was 7 when explaining to me that the reason why we have the eyes on the front is because we need to look at the future. We were designed to look at our future. I know that a lot of authors they said, be in the moment, future doesn't exist yet, don't worry about it. The past is gone, don't worry. Focus right here. I understood it in a little different way. I understood if the moment is gone every second. The power of the now is gone every second. But if you achieve, use your eyes. See, we cannot even turn our head completely back. So the back represents the past, is prohibited. You should not look at the past. Just look a little bit to remind you how you should not be doing things. Otherwise, if you do, you try, you will get hurt. So focus in the future, because the future, if you can see in front of you, it holds who you are already now in the future. So that's when you start reprogramming to see that person that you want to be, the best and the better version of yourself, the one that chooses happiness over everything, knowing and being aware that your life is full of the other emotions too, and that you're gonna have to go through challenges. But it's what you want to see in the future, what you want to see in front of you, if that makes sense.
I think it makes a ton of sense. And I really find it so inspiring to, look at our physiology in a different way and look at the energetics behind it and the expression of the life force. And, we have a saying in osteopathy where that form follows function. So the energetics of the human being expressing itself are fully functional at conception, and then the physical forms around the way the body's functioning. And it sounds like you're saying, hey, some of the higher functions of us looking to the future literally are being reflected in our anatomy. I mean, it's like, I always find it's interesting that different people come to it from different places. And even Andrew Taylor Still, who was this frontier MD who created the osteopathic profession, was like, let's stop giving arsenic and strychnine because that's harming people. So let's, use some more common sense, and let's do things that work, like hands-on manipulation, energy work. But he learned it by sitting with people, and it was interesting. He would treat like cholera, like infectious diarrhea, with his hands. And some people, he'd crack their neck or their back or move their shoulder. Other people, people would just, he put his hands on them for like 3 hours. He did. But he was a student of nature and of God. And he just was like, I was told the preconceived notion, so let me learn something new, let me be open to a new healing possibility. And April had a really cool question, and you mostly touched on it, but I'd love for you to just hit on this sort of specifically, like, and maybe there's a way to kind of introduce us to this in experience. But how do we heal imprints that caretakers may hold, like maybe in the case of a parent who's taking care of a child who's been diagnosed with Lyme disease and other infections, maybe somebody, a parent of or like me, even like my mom's 85 and I'm taking care of her. She's got really nasty Parkinson's and osteoporosis, just broke 4 vertebrae. But and I'm trying to not just keep talking because I love what you're saying, but one of the things, just like, you hold space in such a way that I remember my mom had just gotten, we had actually just hung out in Mexico, and my mother had fallen out of her wheelchair, broke her back in 4 places just because how bad the osteoporosis is. The fall wasn't that bad. It was mostly, her skeleton. And she was in horrible pain. And so they really weren't able to control it, and she didn't want narcotics and stuff. So I was literally sitting one night at home meditating, and I was just like, you know what? I'm going to visualize my mom differently. And it was like I dropped, and it was like, and this is not usually, I usually send energy and love, but I was like, boom, right in her back. And it was like, all right, well, let's inflate this and like take pressure off. And it just came to me. But it was like this moment of just sharing this love and being open. I'm like, this is not the way I usually go about my stuff, but it's a new experience. So, and I was open to that. So, I mean, what would you say, like, in terms of healing the imprints? I think you kind of laid into it a little bit there, but what does that look like? I mean, what is the process of going through it? Or is it something that we can even like play around with a little bit?
All right, so thank you actually for sharing about your mom, because if you don't mind, I'm gonna use this little example to explain something that happens actually with imprints. I One of the things that I notice, especially when you're talking about the spine, when you're talking about the back, and one of the things that I noticed since kid is I was fascinated. It was so fascinating for me to go into my mind, and my mind showing me all the inside of our bodies. And one of the major things that I noticed in my entire career is that the spine actually contains the imprints that we are actually direct connected to our own mothers. So for example, if she broke it, of course we know that, in the medical term would be the osteoporosis, all these things. It was weak, but also at emotional and subconscious level, we were talking that probably your mom have something that she was carrying from her own mother. Because in my perspective, the spine is the one in charge of the spine is the mother. The one in charge of the legs is the father. Is vibrationally speaking. So I find that out. I have a case where I have this client that she was a sports guy. He was in sports, and suddenly he started getting out of the loop. He started getting a lot of problems with the spine, and he actually broke the spine. A couple of things, he couldn't function correctly. To make the story short, we started working, and I said, well, the one in charge with the spine is your mom, so we're gonna find out imprints that you have with your mom. He's like, well, and I remember he's like, well, my mom is the greatest person, and that was for the first 3 minutes. After that, he started finding out everything. So we did the process, and we started the process of healing that, and it's amazing how he started his recovery of his physical body with his spine after letting go all those imprints. So imprints are, as we spoke probably before, imprints will connect, physically speaking, with the nerve system.
Right.
Period. That's how it works. Imagine that imprints are like a little recording devices. I have a theory. I might sound crazy right now, but I just met right there in Palmaya. We met these guys, Mark and his wife, and they were working with all this technology. And one of the
Hmm.
things that really I like it is because I've been having this theory that our memories are not in our bodies. We What we have in our bodies, they're channels. I look at the universe as a big magnetic band that records everything, you know. uh, so I always said that when we're speaking about time, like 10 years ago, in reality, it was probably certain number of miles ago because our planetary system keeps moving. We're not in the same place. So at subatomic level, particles connects with each other. So one of the major things about imprints is that they're like a little channels that records all the time, records, and we don't know when it's going to be to the level that is going to be like a traumatic event, because it not necessarily needs to be a traumatic event, doesn't need to be that strong to affect us later in life, and they come out at some point. We don't know, we don't even know why. So those imprints, when it's time for them to come out, they start vibrating the most because they connect to whatever main event happened, and they start activating the nerve system. That's when the nerve system start reacting, because the truth of the nerve system is like it takes something and acts or reacts or responds, right, in whatever that needs to be. And a lot of people think that it's just physical, but in reality, a lot of it is mental. A lot of them is in the mind. Whatever your mind is, like I always say this: imagine right now that you have a Lyme, right? It's the same trick of the Lyme, or not the Lyme disease, all right? Just a Lyme or a lemon, right? Imagine a lemon in front of you, cut it, grab half of it right now. Imagine that, grab half and squeeze it in your mouth and feel it. What happens? Your mouth starts watering. It means that the mind creates a physical reactions towards something. Now the problem is, what about those subconscious level things that the subconscious, that the nerve system is actually reacting to? We don't even know. We don't even know. So the way to heal that is always in, I think that in the transpersonal psychology field, there is something that is called rescripting and reframing, which I refer to that because that's how it works. You need to rescript and reframe. Now, what I find out in my life and in my work, that rescripting and reframing is not all. So you need to reinforce a reprogramming, and that's where the reprogramming means that you need to find, this is personal, right? This could be a one specific, some specific keywords from a person that could reprogram them to what they want in life. There is a process about it. There is a process to find the correct ones, because a lot of people try to reprogram with many different things. People go on YouTube and reprogram from a reading or something like that, but it could be just lightly. So there's other ways to use energy healing, like literally energy, and the energy is created at the time that your mind is active and is willing, is open, and is conscious of what you want. But I always said, I always said that it's very important that there is something that is going to hold the power for you. That power is going to give you the force to get you into the action to do something for yourself, for what you want, what your desire is. That force is going to bring you into an experience that is going to drive you into your success. But in order to have that power, you need to decide. Decision is the key. If you don't get to decide, and a lot of people might say, Tom, yeah, I made that decision. Did you? You just say it, or are you taking action to it? Because action needs to be there. The power, the force, the experience for the success needs to be there. So the decision needs to be done. And in order to do that, you need to ask yourself, why am I attracting the type of people that I attract in my life? Why am I feeling the way that I'm feeling? Why I'm not being completely happy? What I'm not enjoying? Let's forget about happiness. What about just enjoyment? What am you're not enjoying your life? What is preventing you? The people that is around you, the place where you are, what is it? And probably those external things are going to tell you that there is something inside that needs to be healed. And that's when you can start your process of going to the future in your reprogramming, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think it really does. And I think sometimes it's like, how do you put it into action? But part of it is, like you were saying, like, I always wonder, like, it's so funny, like, when you're bringing up certain memories, you look a certain direction and up and out of your head. And when you're putting together things, but creating a new concept, you look a different way. All the sort of the body language people are looking, but most of us, our thoughts are outside. And I love what you're talking about, just like, you know, why is this all coming up? And it's just like there's more filtering into me, and I think the awareness of what is coming up or where it may be coming from, is it a pattern? I always say awareness is one of the most powerful tools, I mean, and accepting yourself for where you are and being open to those new healing possibilities by not judging it, but just being open to it. So, and there's so much to unpack there, because it's like, guys, we've had conversations that have gone hours, and it's just like, you never want them to end, but then you're like, I got to go to bed. So, you know, and Arturo like just brings out like, he just looks at things a little bit differently than a lot of us through his amazing experience. And I think that's really helpful to unpack a lot of, to just think about it in this different way, because I always wondered, like, why are we having if we don't do I love the way you say it, if you don't do the reprogramming, it's going to come back. And so a lot of people, I guess, with Lyme disease, as an example, because I've been one of them, are like, I'm a Lyme, like we get a label, right? And it's really obvious that if you label yourself a Limey, if you think about it for a few minutes, you're like, well, that's probably not the most proactive way to go about healing. There's so many of us who are kind of understand we can move beyond the label, but have we really reprogrammed that vibration within us? And so one of the things that I always tell people is like, have you loved your Lyme today? I go, because if I go F you Lyme, and I'm mad at it, and I'm angry and fearful of it, I feel it's a more contractile energy to me, and it's going to hold it in place. Whereas if I love Lyme, it's love is or happiness or whatever you call it, big, bold, open frequency that allows things to move. So if I want something to maybe move on out of my life, and maybe leave me a little post-it note when it leaves the door about the lesson I was supposed to learn, I got to give it space. And again, it's like, if you love it, it doesn't mean you like it, but there's that thing. So yeah, there's so many things that, like, I just, my brain is going in so many directions because I love the uniqueness of your approach. Would you be up for sharing a little experience with folks so they can just get a little flavor of kind of like, we've been talking for about an hour now. I'd love if we could just maybe ground a little piece of it in just kind of like the magic that is your view of sharing, a short healing journey, possibly.
Yes, actually, you guys are up to. I can. I can do a little exercise. We can do a little exercise that will help you to identify something that you might not be thinking about it. Like you might not, but it's just a simple, simple, light question that I will. And then if you want, if you allow me, probably we can do a little tiny going inside of our mind, like a kind of relaxation. Let's take it as a relaxation, and how to take a look at it, and how we're going to be able to modify or start the modification of that something. If that is okay with you, I can do that.
I think it would be amazing, brother. I appreciate you for offering that and being open to it, because I love the chatting about it, but I think it's the and I feel so much shifting when we just have a standard conversation, because of I believe because of the vibration behind it, and then the new perspective, which helps me vibrate differently. And I also know that, like, having the experience of it, like I've had the privilege of having the experience. It's unique and unlike, and that one last thing, I would love for everyone in the world, especially everyone here, to shine your unique light and share who you are, because the world needs you. It doesn't need another Tom or another Arturo. It needs you. And I hope that Arturo's approach right here will, embolden you and inspire you to live your most unique life, whatever that means to you, but shine your light so that you can heal yourself and then give permission for the people around you to do the same. And I find, like, going back to parents, I have a 15-and-a-half-year-old daughter. The worst thing I can do is tell her how to be, but I can lead and I can provide some guardrails, keep her safe, but I can also just lead my life in my best way and support her in her process. And that's the love that I feel from you, Arturo. So I think that would be absolutely spectacular. So
Nice, nice. Well, let's. Ha, how do you guys call? Hand to the hands to cooking. So, um, let's uh, let's start with a couple very light things, and then I'll do a little demonstration of how your thought process and how you can help yourself. Of course, there are entire programs that can help you to go deeper, but today we can do something that can help you in normal or regular in your regular day, during your regular day. So one of the things, like a little tools, like a very first thing we need to understand is we need to learn to identify when we are not in the correct vibration. How do we know that? Well, it's very simple. I'm not feeling well, right? Or your mind is ruminating about whatever type of negative thing. Um, I would say that that happens to probably everybody every day. Even if you're happy, you start your day happy, somebody's gonna come and dump their trash on you, and it will be contagious. So the situation here is we need to learn simple things to do. So the very first thing to do is, if you find yourself not able to stop a bad thinking or a negative thinking, or what you call heavy lower vibration thinking, and you're suffering emotionally and you can think, the very first thing to do is you need to put your finger and look at your finger right here. And if you observe, as you are doing this exercise, what you're going to observe is that you just can't think. Like literally, you just can't think. Do you guys notice that? Right? You just can't think. And the reason why you can't think is because the eyes are connected to each side of the brain. And when the brain crosses with each other, it takes away the power of the left brain, which is the one that is processing your negative thinking. Now, I'm not saying that the right brain is not actually working. What it's doing is like a probably bringing some type of negative vibration. We are like an antennas, and sometimes you're fine, and suddenly you don't feel good. It's because you are perceiving. You might be empathic, and you're perceiving that your right brain is bringing that vibration, and you just look at, and you can stop thinking. Once that you stop thinking, take a deep breath and get yourself into something that you want. I start thinking of, for example, I like speed. I like racing cars. So I can start thinking like, you know what? I'm gonna work in my car. Or if you don't have a car and you would like to have one, start having thoughts about having that. So that's tool number one. It's very simple, so fast. If you are in the middle of something, probably just cross your eyes. If you're in the middle of I don't know, a meeting or something like that, and you don't want everybody to see you, just try to close your eyes. But the finger is a focal point, and it will get you out of thinking right away, right away. And I don't want to. It has other utilities, but I want to speak about that today about it. Anyways, the second thing that I do is something that I call turn the light off. It's a tool that I call turn the light off. This is a little bit more heavy, or works with heavier stuff. Like how many of you guys been through heartbreak, right? When you get heartbroken, what happened? You can't stop thinking. You can't stop thinking because somebody broke your trust, because you were probably a relationship, and you have all those thoughts, right? And anger, sadness, everything is right there. Or you have just some what people call karma, right? You have some karma going on with some people, and you're angry at this person, and this person keeps showing up. So let's do this exercise really quick. I need you to think of a person that hurt you so much. Just think of a person. Imagine the face of this person that hurt you so much. Once that you have that face, once that you have that image in your mind, what I need you to do is close your eyes, keep looking at that image. On my count of three, you're going to, in your mind, to turn the light off. Everything is going to go dark. 1, 2, 3. Turn it off. Take a deep breath. Open your eyes. Now, look up. Now your mind can think again. Your mind can think. Now, check this out. That image that you have, I need you to try to get it again in your mind. And probably a lot of you might notice that you can bring it back, or you can bring it back the same. So if you try again, every time that comes, you keep trying until the image is going to dissipate, which means, see, try again. Remember, 1, 2, 3, turn the light off. Take a deep breath. Open your eyes. Look up. And every time that it comes, you will get rid of that. That will change the vibration of your body, removing that connection and allowing yourself to have better connections. And the last one. This is a little bit deeper. Of course, they're more deeper, but I know we don't have a lot of time. So, and we want to make it simple. I need you to think of an event, any traumatic event that you have. Let's pretend that probably your event contains 3, 4, 5 different imprints, or imprints to 10 levels down. We're going to hit right now at least 3 to 4, probably 5 levels of this. I need you to think, anybody, just to think of a traumatic event that you have. This is important. I need you to remember around what time happened. 15 years old, 20 years old, 8 years old. Try to find out how things happen. Just think for a moment how things happen. So let's pretend. You know what? I'm not going to pretend. I'm going to share one thing with you. In my case, I remember I am sitting in my mother's house. I'm sitting in the dining table, and we are talking about a garden that I want to build for my mom. And she said, "Oh, of course you want to build that garden for me because what you did." And I don't get it what I did. I have no idea what she's thinking, all right? So I'm eating, and suddenly I see her like right there, like probably 3.5 to 4 feet from me, and she takes a spoon and she does this to me. It's like she's aiming at me, and I'm thinking like, what is she doing? And actually, I get like this, like I get closer, and bam, she threw it at me and hit me right here in my forehead. It was so bad that I thought that I was electroshocked. I saw a lot of electricity in my brain. It hit me so bad that literally I I thought that I'm gonna be knocked out or something. It was very bad, and it took me a long time to get rid of that. You know, now I can remember any time that I want, and it's not have the same effect. But I used to have actually PTSD every time that somebody grab a spoon. I'm like, big F, big F. It's like it's just there. So I need you to think of an event that impacted you. All right. So let's do a little exercise. I hope that you guys have your event, and I hope that you have a little sequence, like a little story, a little tiny story of the moment before happened and the moment that ended. All right. So take a deep breath. Hold your eyes. Close your eyes. Deep breath again. Now I need you to imagine or visualize a staircase with 7 steps going down. I'm going to start counting from 7 to 1, and I need you to feel your feet going down. 7, 6, 5, 4. Feel your feet. 3, 2, 1. Visualize in your left side a wide door. Open it up. Just leave it open. Next to that door, there is going to be an elevator. Go inside of the elevator. We're going down 3 floors. 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1. Visualize for a moment stepping out of the elevator. When you step out of the elevator, there's going to be a white chair with an old wise man sitting on that chair. Approach to him. He will stand up, allowing you to sit on his chair. Sit on his chair. Now allow him to put his hands in your head. Feel the vibration of his hands. Allow that vibration to run through your entire body all the way down to your feet. Allow your body to feel that vibration. Visualize white light coming out of his hands directly into your brain. Allow the white light to start going down through your throat and all the way down through your spine to the base of your spine. In my count of 3, you're going to allow that light to go into every bone of your physical body. 1, 2, 3. Feel the light in every bone of your bone system, making you feel stronger, making you feel more confident. On my count of 3, you're going to allow that light to go into every cell of your physical body. 1, 2, 3. Feel it, making you feel younger, happier, healthier. Visualize yourself standing up from the chair, feeling grateful. Feel gratitude in your heart. So much gratitude. Now, visualize yourself start walking, and certainly you're going to see stairs, some of you probably going up or going down. Look at those stairs. Observe that those stairs has 9 steps for some of you either going up or some of you going down. Let's go up or let's go down, depends on what comes to your mind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Visualize a blue door in front of you, and the other side of the door is going to be the moment that that event happened to you. On my count of 1, you're going to open that door. On my count of 2, you're going to walk through that door. On my count of 3, you're going to close that door behind you. 1, open it. 2, walk through. 3, close the door behind you, place yourself exactly at the moment before the traumatic event happened, and allow yourself to go through the memory. Just go ahead. Observe the memory, observe what is happening, and allow that to happen. Allow that to happen, and when the traumatic event happened, on my count of three, you're going to visualize me with my index finger touching your right shoulder, and you're going to allow yourself to leave your body. You're going to look down and you're going to see yourself during that memory in that situation. One, two, three. Floating, allowing yourself to be in your higher self. Now, on my count of three, your higher self is going to bring you back into the beginning of that memory again. One, two, three. Let's go through again. Again, allow it to happen. Observe how it happened. Some of you might start recalling more details from that memory. Just allow it to happen again until it's done. One, two, three. Higher self, looking down. One, two, three, coming back to the beginning, but this time observe that before what happened to you, before that happened, this person comes before what happens and start stopping that situation, and is not allowing that to happen. It could be a family member or somebody that you feel good with it. Allow that person to break that situation before it happens, so it's preventing this to happen. Feel more confident. Observe now and create a happy end to this situation based on what that person that intervened before this happened. Allow yourself to feel your body vibrating into different level. Now visualize in your left side there is going to be a mirror. Inside of that mirror is going to be an image of yourself from the future. It's you. On my count of three, you're going to pull that image out of the mirror towards you, and you're going to share your light that you get with that vibration that you get to that image of you from today. One, two, three, pull it out. On my count of three, you're going to hug each other so tight, and you're going to merge that vibration. One, two, three. Merge. Integrate that energy with you. Come back to the door. One, open it. Two, walk through. Three, close the door behind you. Go back to the stairs. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Feel your feet. 4, 3, 2, 1. Visualize yourself going back to the elevator. Next to the elevator is going to be another mirror. In that mirror, there is going to be an image of your mother holding you as a baby. Look at that baby, the first day that you're born. On my count of three, you're going to pull that baby out of that mirror. She's going to give it to you. 1, 2, 3. Pull the baby out. Feel that baby in your arms, holding that baby. Smell it. Put it close to your heart. Now you are in charge. You are in charge of that baby. My count of three, you're going to hug that baby so tight It will integrate and merge bodies. One, two, three. Receive that vibration. Allow your body to feel. Go back to the elevator. One, one, two, two, three, three. Close the door that you opened in the beginning. Picture yourself in front of the ocean. Feel the sand in your feet. Listen to the waves. Sunny, beautiful day, giving you life and light. Go back to the stairs. We're going up. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take a deep breath. Open your eyes, fully awake, fully awake. I have no idea how long we took, but some of you, I hope that you guys can share this if you, what was your experience with Tom. And if you notice, some of you might notice different details from what you used to remember. More details will be open. There is a part, very light part of something that I call time frame regression, but it does rescript and reframe. Of course, there is a deeper process. And after you start this healing, that's when reprogramming can be done later. Anyways.
That is so awesome, brother. Thank you so much. It's yeah, I just typed in if anybody has any questions or share, just feel free to put it in the chat and we can field that. But man, you know, it's funny the little things that come up, and like there's a physical strain pattern I had from some athletic injuries, but it all sort of seemed to start from one particular event, and it's like kind of the thing that would love to have, flowing a bit better. And I kind of just went through the process with that, and to feel like the physical shift of something that I know was a physical trauma, but it was very emotional around it. And I can cognitively work my way around it with, it was an event with my father. Um, and but just to feel the difference. And it's like I'm sure there's some other people going, oh, like what are the numbers and why the door and what it's like there's all these nuances to it, but take that in, guys. Like, don't worry about it so much, just feel how you feel inside right now. And what's so beautiful is this is going to be up for a replay. You can all go back and do it again. What a gift. And it's kind of funny that like we got going and I was like, there's all these little things you want to talk about. Both my wife Jill and I are fortunate enough to and our daughter Talia to have met Arturo in person. I mean, so much of what we do is virtual, but we spent time together and shared meals. Today is our 24th wedding anniversary, which is pretty darn amazing. And Jill's doing something at school with Talia. Thank you. And I'm just like, what a great, like, I'm like, not profusely sweating, but I have like a, like almost like a sheen of this beautiful like heat leading to a little sweat going. And I'm like, what a great present on as we move into this next level and chapter together, to be able to walk out of our experience tonight having shed and worked on some of this. And again, it's just like feel that love and feel that vibration in you, and it's you. It's like getting more in touch with yourself. So I mean, I can't thank you enough, brother. I mean, so much gratitude. And
no, thank you, man.
We have someone
it's an honor that you choose to talk to me in your anniversary, man.
It's so crazy now, guys. I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but Jill was planning. She's like the planner. She does. I mean, if it wasn't for her, I don't even know that I would get to anything. And she's like, last weekend, well, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, she's like, oh, I have a dinner reservation for our anniversary. We'd planned it. We were all excited. And then she's like, wait a second, it's on Mother's Day, not this weekend. So she had booked it for last Sunday, not this Sunday. and so we were going to go out on Sunday because, just make it a little simpler. And then, so it was great because now we had a reservation to take my mom out for Mother's Day. And we weren't even sure she was going to make it, but she got out of rehab just in time. And then yesterday we wanted to go out, but, because Monday night we knew we were doing this. And so then she was like, oh, well, Talia just won an award for her ski team this year, and that's last night. So we wouldn't have been
Oh,
able to,
wow.
that had a dinner at it. So they're like, oh, okay. And then like tonight, we're like, well, we have things to do. We want to make sure that we're giving, paying forward and sharing this love and the experience with you tonight. And she had talked to one of these restaurant groups that we like, and we had gotten some sushi, and it just was not even close to what it used to be. So she just gave him some feedback. She's like, business owner to business owner, I spent a lot of money, and I mean, this is our thing. And they sent us a gift card, and she's like, that came today. She's like, oh, do you want to use that on Wednesday? Because that's the next day you don't have any classes to go out for our anniversary. So it kind of is all, coincidental and serendipitous. But when you step into the light and the love and the flow, and you're like, this happens. And so just to have this experience today, it's so great. And in the chat, we've got someone who logged in as Care, which is, I don't know if that's your full name or uh, just a choice today. That is amazing. But thank you both. Great conversation. Thank you, Arturo. Lisa said, I experienced a sharp pain in my left side as I was coming back through the door, then felt chest pain going up the elevator. Is that a symbol of letting go?
It is, and also is telling you that you might not believe this, but metaphorically speaking, that traumatic event was working, unfortunately, to create your life with a little bit out of balance, and that would be representing that is you're taking it out, so you will be regaining balance. This is specifically in the chest area, which is the heart area, represents the balance. And balance is not easy. Balance is something that we really need to work hard to bring, because that's where we make a good life of ourselves. And but that's pretty much what it is. It's letting you know that you were hurt. You were hurt, not just emotionally, but probably represents uh, physical issues later, illnesses or something. You will be working this out and bringing more balance to that. And just to finalize, actually, to sharing with this part about the hard part, a lot of times when we start balancing a specific area of our life, it will impact other areas, especially the heart represents how we relate to others. So this might be impacting you how relate to others in the near future. And remember, this little exercise that we did, you might feel it in the next few days, even stronger.
That was my experience. The first thing we did together. And I have to tell you, I don't know, it was an hour and a half, our first experience at this retreat. That was intense. But when I came back and did another experience with you right now, that was really short. This was so much more intense. So I feel like once you do it once, you kind of get the Arturo vibe going, and because we all bring our own love to it, and so and I just and sometimes it's the time and the right, you know, certain things move when they're supposed to move in the way they're supposed to move, and I'm just kind of I try to be open to that. April said the part with the baby and the mother was so emotional. Thank you. I found that to be very profound, and I love like a lot of people. I almost feel like you regress opposite the way most people do, because you were like healing me and then seeing me and this person now like in the future, and it was like healing me now going to the future and then going back now that I'm more in a complete and more vibrational open place to receive the baby, whereas I feel like a lot of people do it the other way. And I don't, everybody has a great healing approach, but this is just really amazing.
Yes.
And then BG said, "Thank you. That was great. Thanks for arranging the call. These calls, you're very welcome, and thank you so much, Arturo." And she just was. This person was just reflecting a little bit back on April's question in terms of really just like as a parent, um, and I think a lot of people in the chat want to know, as a parent, how can use this work to help to help be a better guide or hold frequency for your children. I would always add, the answer to this is probably the same way you influence your partners, your friends, and those around in your community. But I think, especially, as a child, and I just want to go back to April's question just because I think it's so good. It's just like, healing the imprint in the case of being a caretaker of a child with chronic illness. And I know that you did say, hey, after you do this kind of work, there's next levels of reprogramming. But even just taking what we did here, how would you use this work, maybe for your kids, but also how does it change the person? Because I find, as a practitioner, and I'm feeding a little bit of where I think things are, a lot of the work we do with our kids is the work we do on ourselves, and we model it for the kid. Because the kids are way open to this stuff, and the only thing they're not open to are the crap you've taught them not to be open to be honest with you. I mean, at least that's been my experience as a parent.
Completely agree. There is one thing that I learned, um, and I know about kids because I have five of those, at least of the ones that I know. Just kidding, just kidding. I know exactly how many I have. I know exactly how many I have. I'm serious. But I noticed something, and especially my entire life, I was very empathic. Well, I still very empathic. I noticed how certain things works, and I would like to actually invite you to see how your kids works with you. Check this out. If you pay attention, you don't really have to educate that much your kids because they're like sponges. They like energetic sponges. They know exactly what is happening. If you're sad, if you're messed up, if you're whatever is going on, they know. You might think that you might fool them. They're fooling you. You might fool them. They're not easy to get fooled. So doing work, the best work that you do with your kids is the one that you do with yourself, because automatically they perceive you. You know, for example, I've been through divorce once, and one of the things, and the main reasons what I decided to go through the divorce is because I got to the point that I'm gonna project to my kids to keep myself in a bad situation, because in my case it was a very bad situation for everybody, and or I stay here, and this is what happened. And I remember having a conversation with one of my kids, and actually she told me like, that I'm so happy that you did what you did. I will never blame you for the divorce or anything like that. And she said, because after all, I was thinking that if you didn't do that, I will think that you never were that strong. And that really hit me. That really hit me because it was important. So our kids, and especially if you're taking care of a kid with special needs or anybody else, you need to be that vibration. They will absorb that vibration. We are like little suns. The sun sends out photons, right? That goes into our bodies and feed us with life. We are like little suns for some people, especially the one that we're taking care, like our kids. We send out, we project to that. We're the sun of our kids. That's what they get from us. And that's the very first step. Is I remember my father, and I didn't have the great life with childhood. Father never been the nicest person ever, but he teach me one thing that really changed and transformed my life. Because the way that I understood, probably not the way that he was trying to say, but he said, Arturo, you need to learn this. First me, then me, always me. So then I thought, oh, this selfish bastard. That's what I thought. But no, then I understood, when you take care of yourself, always, when you put yourself first, and then you put yourself first, and then always you put yourself first, and then you become that person to give the best of you to the others. That's how it works. So the reality of our kids is that that vibration is number one. Number two is the education that you're going to give, the values that you're going to give them. But also you need to be realistic about that your kids has their own journey. And if they decide that they're not going to use the education because they have to do something else, you're going to have to make peace with that and help them when they need you, not when you want to help them. Otherwise, it's not going to work, if that makes sense. But it's
Mm.
working in yourself as a walking example of what you would like them to have.
You know, there's so many things that brings up. I mean, I remember growing up going, I don't understand why my parents won't get divorced. And for them, it became about the commitment, but it that they made in the church. But the reality was neither one of them were strong enough to do it. And I'm not saying that that's the answer for everybody. I mean, I've been married for 24 years and we've had some shitty times. But again, I'm married to my best friend and I wake up every day going, today a miserable day with her is a great day, is better than a great day with a lot of other people. And every day that we work at it gets better, and there's a few bumps in the road, but we both respect each other. And with the children, one of the things I've learned as a parent and as a provider who supports parents is what you just said was so spot on. You cannot make your kid do anything. I mean, you can try to force them to, you can lock them in the room, you can beat them, whatever the hell you're allowed to do. Apparently in Utah, you're allowed to hit your child, and a parent, it's like ridiculous, but there's better ways to do it. And it's like, guiding. And one of the best ways to be a guide is to do the work yourself. Arturo has done the work and continues to do the work. And he's sharing with you things he learned on his journey and how he works with other people. But he started by doing the work on himself. And so for all of us, whether we're a practitioner helping other people, whether we're a coach or a teacher, whether we're a parent, which to me is like the most important and coolest job ever, it's by leading by example and providing a safe space and holding space for our kids to learn who they are. Like I remember some of my mentors in Lyme disease were like, they're like, "How you doing?" I go, "Wow, man, Talia's 18 months old, and I learned something new from her every day." And the person looked at me cross-eyed because they don't have kids and they didn't get it. I'm like, I learn from the master all the time on how to be present and open and free. And as we got older, our goal was not even to, was to protect Talia, but also not to make her our kid. And granted, I screwed this up royally, but but I've asked for forgiveness, and we were. But again, like, I literally will stop and have the conversation and say, hey, I didn't show up the way I should have in that moment. I apologize, and take responsibility. But moving forward, it was like, how can we create a container where this unique being can be protected just enough to make it, not step in front of a moving car and get killed or something, but learn who Talia is and then share that divinity, that divine inspiration, and her own unique version of love with the planet. And I'm telling you, it's so fucking rewarding. It is so rewarding. Now, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do. And because very few people around us do it, very hard sometimes to take credit that it's working, because mostly you're just holding space and being yourself. But life can be that way, So I just so inspired. And there's another part in there. But the other thing is, since we're on the topic of anniversaries 24 years later, it's like, hey, look, we work at it. Do you know why we work at it? Because it's the most important thing going on. Number one is Tom. Number two is Talia, and Jill. And actually probably it's Jill, and three is Talia. And everybody, oh my God, you put it in that order. No, if I can't love myself, how can I 100% love somebody else? And if I can't have a relationship that teaches love and have this thing, and like, I know, like, whether you're divorced or not, you can choose how to interact with the other person. You can choose how to present yourself when talking about the other person with your child. So it doesn't mean that you have to all stay married, but it's like the energy that you show up with your child. If you're is so important. So, a couple things that popped up. Hopefully, you can hit on.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. There's a couple, and I think they'll probably all roll together. But you can take them any way you want. Or during the exercise, someone said, "Did you whisper a prayer between directions?" Someone else asked. Or commented, but I think it plays a role with is as a youngster, being a caretaker of a parent really never got to be a kid. And then uh, there's little and then the other part, and I'll go back to the comment in a minute, but if imprints come from the child's illness for yourself, from I don't know if I understand this one, but I'm going to try it. If the imprints come from the child's illness for yourself, oh, I see. How would you go about healing from those traumatic events?
Okay, I'm gonna start with that one. I'm gonna end up in the praying part. So the healing, one of the major methods that I have, and probably a lot of you might understand this. There's many methods. There's many shamans, hypnosis people, many different type of methods. Um, at the age of 7, I decided not to read books. I literally don't read books. I'm not. I know how to read books. I can read. I promise myself not to read. I promise myself to channel every information that I have.
But
So
you own a
one of
bookstore,
the
right?
and I own a bookstore. I know. I own the freaking first metaphysical bookstore in San Diego since 1963. I'll tell you that in another time. But it's funny. One of the where were we? Oh, the imprints. So one of the biggest methods, all my methods I channeled when I was 13 years old, and I was able to apply this for over 30 years. Uh, in all the other methods out there, you will find out that the rescripting and the reframing has to do with something that you need to make up to help your mind or to trick your mind in a way. Now, if you're not in the exact state of the mind that you require, it doesn't really matter. But one of the major methods that I have is called womb regression. I have a regression where I bring the person back to the womb, where they were in the womb of mom's womb. And one of the things, the biggest thing about that method is so powerful because it rescript and reframe from actual um, traumatic events that you have that created your imprints and rescript and reframe with actual facts of good events that happen in your life. That's the difference with other ones, even compared with the one that we just used today, which is a time frame. And of course, I have my own method of past life based in knowing how to do dream interpretation when I was 7. It's a total crazy story, but anyways. So when you start digging in and start figuring out where the root cause, my main thing is always find the root cause of the problem. See, because we can cover the problem as many times as you want. The problem you will never get rid. We need to find out the root cause. When that you find the root cause, you can work on it. And that's when you start the reprogramming. Because again, if you go back to the problem and you remove it, that's great. But you also want to think like, okay, now that I'm free from this, where am I going? And before I go to the praying part, I want to put this for you guys. Like, seriously, this actually completely transformed my life. There is something that I do every 10 years. Every 10 years, I do this thing. And I will give you a little homework if you guys want it. It will take us a minute, but this is I ask myself 3 questions. Every 10 years, I ask myself the same 3 questions, and I go ask myself once every day for 9 days. It helps me a lot. Question number 1 is, for example, at 50, when I turned 50, which was almost 4 years ago, I asked myself where, geographically speaking, I want to be at the age of 60. Second question was, what do I want to be doing at the age of 60? And question number 3 was, how do I want to look like at the age of 60? Now, let's see who answers. But what is the most important question of these three? The question that will take care that the other two happen is, how do you want to look? That's the most important question. Because the way that you look, if you're healthy, you look great, everything else is going to happen. And it's so funny because in these 3 years, without thinking, I got myself back into the gym, having all these different things, and my body's changing, my body's transforming, something that I couldn't do before. I didn't build muscle that easy. I'm building muscle. I'm not a big muscle guy. No, I just want to be lean, I just want to be healthy, but I can tell the differences. So I do that every day. So that will help you to do. So it doesn't matter how old you are. Do those 3 things for the next 9 days. Same question once a day. Your mind will give you the same answer for 9 days. All will change. So pay attention to the answers. That's how you start unlocking actually how your nerve system will be modifying the responses that you have. Because now you you know where you're going, what you want. That's number one. And I hope that answered the question. Like, very much is, you need to go back, find out where the root cause is, and do the work on it. And of course, I have many tools, many programs, many I do sessions, I do different things that can help people. Now, if that answered the question, hope it does. If not, we can get a little bit more into the praying thing. There is something that a lot of people call speaking tongues, especially in religion. A lot of people do speaking tongues, and it's funny because I do that since kid. Now, when people ask me why I do that, and this was my answer. I was very little when I give that answer, and I talk to religious people and many in different religions, because many people use it. People use chanting, use many different type of things. Um, I talked to them and I asked them, like, why you do it, and they said, like, oh, because that brings more the spirit of God to you. So when you ask me what it is, I said, well, we bring more particles, we more spirit, subatomic level spirit, pure spirit. Whatever you believe on it is the same. You will bring all those spirit in that form. Why? The reason why is because when we born, if you agree, when we come out of the womb, inside of the womb, there was no noise and there was no gravity. So when we come out, there is gravity and there is loud noise. So those two becomes fears. Those triggers the amygdala for us to be triggering in the future or survival mechanism. If freeze, fight, flight, um, food, and fornication. That's the survival mechanism of humans. So that's what we do. With the time, the left brain, which is the one that is going to take on the nerve system mainly to manage our physical body's actions and reactions, to take all the responses, the left brain is the one in charge of putting together all this complex subatomic power of the right brain, bringing all this energy to us. So the left brain takes over. So when you do speaking tongues, it makes the left brain to shut down for a little bit, to shut down that control and just be open for the full spirit to come through us, for the heat, the thermodynamics of our body to come into us. So when do speaking tongues is when a baby is boo, 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 like talking, a baby talking. Look how powerful a baby is. A baby is so powerful that it cries, everybody gets there. He gets food, he gets attention, he gets whatever he wants, just with noises. With a smile, the babies gets everything they want, right? So speaking tongues is pretty much the same. It's like an intention where the left brain is not looking for meaning anymore.
Mm.
You don't get in your own way. Your own way is when you're looking for a meaning for everything. When sometimes You just need to be happy. You just need to be joyful. You just need to just enjoy life. There's no meaning. You just you just are. It's empowering. Allow yourself to be empowered, and that's what it means. And I always do with the best intention to really reach whatever number of humans that I can, because I really believe that we can make a difference. The world is going into every time over and over into hard times, and we just like spectators looking at it. When I think that one day humanity is going to be able to come together and come to a realization that, we are all from the same spirit, and
Hmm.
we can be there and we can make things better, we can make things happen, but we need to take actions. It's not just a thought process, it's action thing taking, if that makes sense.
That is so beautiful. So well said. I think if you have a moment, I've got one more question there, and I just want to give everybody a quick reminder. Next week, we're going to be on Tuesday and Thursday with live sessions. Monday, we're going to be off for the holiday. But next Tuesday, May 27th at 7:30, we'll have my good buddy Harry Massey. We're going to be talking about another take on bioenergetics. And he was in a wheelchair for like 6 or 8 years, very much like my Lyme journey, but I was not in a wheelchair, thank God. But with chronic fatigue syndrome, and he's going to be talking about vibrational energy and some new wearable energetic tech that will not only monitor stuff but also be able to help you, in real time getting feedback. So combining tech with some of these other things. And then on Thursday, same thing, the 29th, 7:30 Eastern time, I'll be doing really leading you through kind of the summary of the healing blueprint that helped me get better, 70, 75%, maybe even 80%. Who knows? It's just like everything that happened in order to get over Lyme, babesiosis, and heavy metal toxicity. And so much of it was not the treatment. The remaining 20 to 30%, I needed some help with doctors, but the work we're doing here tonight with Arturo is a lot of that. And I love the fact that Arturo is sharing his unique experience and gifts, and that came through his personal work, and I'm going to do the same thing in my own unique way that so many of you know about too. So really excited. So, and Arturo, maybe we'll close on this one because it's just such a great, I think, a great question, and love to hear your take. But question from Sarah was, when I pulled myself outside of the mirror at first, that image was heavy and stuff, like kind of like a statue. But then it turned into a golden mist that hugged me super close. And so the question out of that experience was, is this representational of my relationship with my future self?
It is. It is, because it's the integration of that resolve. It's a mechanism of resolving something that now you need. For example, in the exercise, now you pinpoint a memory from the past that was traumatic. During that time, you were in a specific position in your life that all the circumstances pointed out to you need to go through that experience. Nowadays, you want to be better, you want to move forward, you don't want to have things to tie you down, you want to be free. So when you integrate with that new vibration based in, remember, the mind has no analytic sense. So it's very interesting, because of course there is a secret recipe about this, right? But the mind has no analytic sense. So when we reframe and rescript and reframe and give a new vibration, the at cellular level, your neurons and cells are gonna take the new reframe and rescript as a new program to stop running the previous vibration program. So now that you bring and you put it together is bringing that person from the future, because remember, we are already who we are in the future. Today we are already who we are in the future. That's why it's important for us to see who are we in the future. And if we don't like who we see in the future, it's time for we start seeing the future a little bit different. But yes, that is a complete yes. That's a complete integration of yourself from the past for you to be integrated into the new version of yourself, best version of yourself in the future.
Sorry about that. I appreciate the heads up there. I try to turn off so there's no background noise or echo when you're talking on your own. But Arturo, I just wanted to say thank you so very much for being here, sharing your gifts and your story. I'm always so inspired by hearing your story and the hardship and knowing where you're at today and how you're inspiring and healing so many people, because I feel like we get into this darkness and this funk of, hey, is it ever going to change for me? And I feel like the experience we went through tonight showed us that it is possible for all of us. We all have our own healing journey, but we can feel that vibration, and let's together bring up our own vibrational frequencies. And when we do, we will attract more people and health circumstances to that level. And then the more we all do this work together, the more and more we're going to be bringing other people, up. We're going to raise the vibration. And it's almost like you remind me of the Marianne Williamson quote. It's like it's our light, not our darkness, that scares us the most. And who are we not to shine and to not, and I'm paraphrasing a little now, but it's beautiful because it's like, who are you to play, low and not to your fullest? Because the only way to elevate other people around you is to do it by elevating yourself, and the vibration will bring them up. It's not a physical uplifting necessarily. It's more the example and the vibration that we all put out together. So us coming together tonight and you leading us, Arturo, on this magical journey has lifted, the vibrational frequency of the globe. And the more and more we see this, through the work of Joe Dispenza, where they do these distance healings and group meditations, they're able to literally measure what we just did tonight, and it doesn't take more than a handful of people with the common, frequency. We don't need 3 or 30 or 100,000 people doing a Sunday meditation together. Now that's great, but it's every 2 or 3 or 4 people, and even every one person can lift up that vibration. And I just want to say, Arturo, from the bottom of my heart, and so much gratitude and love to you for spending this time with us, taking all this time to share and to help us raise our vibrational frequencies and to heal together.
Well, thank you, Tom. I am so grateful and thankful about the invitation for inviting me tonight to share this. And you're right. And I always thought in my life that, sometimes the world looks very dark, but we need to learn darkness, because the truth is, during the day, we look up and you can see just the sky, blue sky, and some clouds, right? But if you look at the night, you can see further. You can see the stars far away. So the dark can teach us and give us a better vision of where we're going. And sometimes to make an entire change, you just need one person to share and everybody else to grab it and have that in the collective consciousness. So we can share and be and have this as a beautiful brotherhood of humans working to be better, knowing that some of us, we don't have it the easiest. Some of us, we're messed up, but it doesn't matter, because if we forget our good side, what is going to be of us? What is going to be happening? And by the way, before we leave, I want to say something about you, Senor. I want to say something about you, guys. It's so funny because when we met in Palmaya, beautiful place in Playa del Carmen in Cancun, beautiful place, so spiritual, so nice. Um, everybody, when you find somebody like you say, like oh my God, I'm not alone. I hear this guy laughing like crazy, like that sounds like me. And I look at that, and there is Tom laughing. I'm like, oh my gosh, there is another one like me. And it's so funny when we met. That's the very first thing you said. Oh, I recognize probably an ADHD person with another ADHD person or something like that. But anyways, Tom, I really appreciate you. I appreciate all the work that you do. You're an amazing human, an amazing person. I was able to meet your family. Love all of you. You guys are a wonderful family. Very nice time that we have there. Very great time that I have with all of you. You know, the people, the audience, and you guys. I know that I cannot see you, but somehow I'm imagining that I'm seeing you all. And Tom, I really great. I'm so grateful and thankful. And I'm here. I'm here for whatever we can do to keep helping anybody to move forward. Okay.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so very much. There's a quick question. This is just about next week calls. So let me find that link and drop it in just while we're at it, because these are all free. So feel free to share all these with whomever. Where did it go? Oh, here we go. Yeah, if you want to invite anybody else to these, we greatly appreciate it. It's free when they sign up. We just give them a little reminders and send any of the special gifts and offers. But yeah, there it is down there. And yeah, and the other part too, just remember these are all on our YouTube and our LinkedIn. So you can just go to Origins of Health, or well, I should say youtube.com/Origins of Health. Please feel free to share this, because the more this kind of vibrational frequency gets out, the better. We're here giving this, paying it forward, sharing our love of what we do and of healing, and hopefully inspiring you guys to bring that the world up just a little bit more. Together we can raise that vibrational frequency. And Arturo Gaitan, thank you so much for being here, brother. Love you. Lots of love to all of you other guys. And we will see you next Tuesday. Take care, everyone.
All right. Thank you.